All right, question before the House. How can we stop Biden's regulatory octopus that is strangling the fossil fuel industry at exactly the wrong time? No one better to answer that than David Bernhardt, former Interior Secretary during the Trump administration and great friend. Thank you, David, for coming back. You know, David, just to set the table quickly, Madam Psaki's out there, Biden talking about 9,000 leases and all that on federal lands. But point I've been raising is, okay, I'm going to put this, at least things are red herring. But most of this is done on private lands, right? And what I've learned from some people that you know very well serve in the government with us, they're using this crazy cost of social cost of carbon, blah, blah, and other things, right? Using the endangered species, the clean water, the NEPA permitting. FERC will never let energy pipelines come through. So they have a stranglehold. They can stop even private development. Is that right? Is that fair?
Well, they can stop both, Larry. Thanks for having me. And let me give you just one little example.
Yep.
In December of 2020, the Bureau of Land Management approved 865 applications for permits to drill. In December of 21, the Biden administration approved 164 permits to drill on federal land. And throughout the year, if you look at it, Trump in 2020 averaged 452 permits to drill on federal land per month. The Biden administration was hitting numbers like 300, 200, 190. They put a stranglehold on the permitting process. Let's be clear about that. They slowed it down. And that was just step number one. They pulled all of the decisions that used to be made in the field up to Washington, D.C. on day one to slow everything down. They took away the timelines for development of NEPA products and said there's no longer a goal of 2 years. They went item by item and item to slow the processes down across the board. And in fairness, they were transparent with the American people in the campaign when they said this is what they wanted to do. They did it. Permitting application timelines for permits to drill went from 142 days in fiscal year 20 to 182 days in fiscal year 21. And remember, Larry, in fiscal year 21, 3.5 of those months are Trump months. Yeah. So they had a 30% decrease or 30% increase in the length it took to do something that we did before, even counting a quarter that was of our own time. And so they have been relentless at slowing the process down.
So I guess, okay, that's good, fair. And I guess what I'm getting at is there's more private land development in that business than there is federal land development.
That's true.
I'm not
Absolutely
diminishing.
True.
I'm not diminishing the federal land. I'm just saying I wanted to focus on the private. And what I think I've learned from talking to people like Francis Brooke that you know and others, they are using stretched out, not deregulated and transparent, but stretched out regulations on the endangered species, on the clean water.
You're right.
Your point about the
You're
NEPA
right.
permitting is very well taken. FERC, for example, they're using this social cost of carbon nonsense. FERC is stopping pipelines. These are private pipelines
Every single
built
thing.
on private lands for the most part, and FERC is just stopping it. So when Biden says there's nothing I can do, it's just not true. They have put a stranglehold.
It's not true.
Yeah.
It is relentless, relentless interest in having these processes take more time across the board. It's been relentless, and look, they've been effective. Things have slowed down, and unfortunately, the American people are feeling it. They are feeling it. They are hurting. I was driving in a cab yesterday, and a lady said to me as I was coming to Capitol Hill, she said, "Do you talk to the people that work in these buildings?" And I said, "Once in a while." And she said, "Tell them we must do something. We must do something. They must do something to help us. Ask them to help us." And that is a direct result of high food prices and high fuel prices.
Yeah, and it's basically super over-regulation to demolish a great industry. Probably the greatest industry in the world, at least in the energy field. Well, when that lady asks you again, just tell her, ma'am, the cavalry's coming. That's what you got to say. The cavalry's coming. David Bernhardt, former Interior Secretary. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Great to see you again.